Attack the Block is often remembered as a wacky British alien comedy, but after watching it over 10 times, I've realized it's something much smarter. It's a film where the block isn't just the setting, it's a cage, and the monsters outside are just a reflection of the isolation inside. London is a paradox. It's one of the most densely populated places on Earth, yet it can feel like the loneliest place in the universe. You are packed into these massive, brutalist apartment blocks and have thousands of people sharing the same thick slabs of concrete, breathing the same recycled air. And yet, your own neighbors feel like aliens to you. You see them in the lift, you hear their music through the walls, but there's this invisible barrier, a wall of social alienation that makes a person living 5 feet away feel like they're from another galaxy. In 2011, Joe Cornish took that specific suffocating urban dread and turned it into a film that everyone thinks they've seen, but very few actually understand. Let's talk about The Block. Joe Cornish didn't just pick a council estate because it looked cool. He picked it because of the architecture of brutalism. These buildings weren't designed to be inviting. They were designed to be functional monoliths. In the film, the block looks like a castle tower. With these angled shots from the ground floor, it looks menacing, and it kind of functions like a prison, so it feels more like a containment movie. When you live in an estate, you're trapped already. You're stuck with everyone the normal world has already decided to forget. The architecture itself demands that you stay in your place. The narrow hallways, the dim stairwells, and the heavy fire doors. It's all built to segment and separate. Cornish uses the camera to make these halls feel like a labyrinth. There's a psychological weight to the concrete. You feel the gravity of the building. This is where the influence of John Carpenter begins to show. He loved trapping a group of outsiders in a single location and watching the pressure cook them. Attack the Block is a spiritual successor to that. Before a single alien lands, these kids already are under siege. They're under siege by the police, by the government, by a society that views them as thugs first and children second. But there's a sad tragedy to Attack the Block. It was sabotaged by its own marketing. It was produced by the same people behind Shaun of the Dead, and because it featured British teenagers and Nick Frost, the studios thought they were being smart. They didn't know how to sell a mean urban horror, so they sold it as a wacky alien comedy that was a Shaun of the Dead homage. But Joe Cornish has been vocal and occasionally quite bitter about this. He wasn't trying to make Shaun of the Dead in a council estate. He wanted to make a movie that felt dangerous. The humor in Attack the Block isn't funny in a sitcom way. It's gallows humor. It's the sound of kids so used to being at the bottom of the food chain, they use jokes as armor. When the audience walked in expecting a parody and got a movie that starts with the heroes mugging a woman at knife point, it created a massive disconnect. But that's exactly why the movie is a masterpiece. It doesn't apologize for its characters. It asks you to find the humanity in people you've been trained to ignore. We also have to talk about the aliens. In an era where every movie monster is a mess of over-designed CGI scales and tentacles, Attack the Block did something insane on a tiny budget. They created the Vanta Black monster. These things aren't just dark, they are a hole in the universe. They have no eyes, no fur, no visible anatomy, just a black silhouette that sucks the light out of the room and those terrifying, glowing blue teeth. It's high-concept horror at its finest. By making them featureless, Cornish makes them feel like a force of nature rather than just a space bug. The deaths that come from them are gruesome and shocking, and it makes the stakes feel even higher. And the plot mechanics are so tight. The reason they're being hunted? Because they killed their baby. They're coming for them. It's a classic primal motivation. It turns the aliens from mindless killers into something with a clear, vengeful purpose. And it kind of mirrors the cycle of violence in the streets. Actions have consequences, and blood demands blood. This movie would not work though without John Boyega. This was his breakout role, and you can see the star power dripping off him even then. As Moses, he carries the weight of the entire block on his shoulders. He doesn't say all that much, but his face tells 1,000 words. It's a story of a kid who's been told he's a villain so many times that he started to believe it. His arc from a mugger to a messiah isn't clean, it's messy. It's earned in the blood and the sweat of that hallway chase. Alongside Nick Frost, who provides a grounded, stoned perspective on the madness, the cause feels like a real ecosystem. They aren't movie characters, they feel like people you'd actually see at the chicken shop or waiting at the bus stop. The hallway scenes are a masterclass in inventive filmmaking. Cornish uses the limited space of the apartment block to create vertical tension. Most movies move left to right. Attack the Block moves up and down. Bicycles in the halls, fireworks as weapons, and the frantic energy of the chase. It all feels livid and desperate. So Attack the Block isn't just a horror comedy. It's a warning. It's a film that tells us that if we pack enough people into concrete cages and treat them like aliens, eventually they'll have to fight like them to survive. It captures the specific suffocating truth of urban life, that the walls are closing in long before the monsters arrive. It's visually stunning. It's pulsing with a synth-heavy, Carpenter-esque score. It's a home invasion movie where the home is a place the world wants to tear down. So please go back and watch it. But forget the Shaun of the Dead comparisons. Watch it as the brutal, oppressive, brilliant siege movie it was always meant to be. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.